So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are now ready for our Q&A session. So, if you would like to ask any questions, please raise your hand and we'll deliver the microphone to you.
Okay.
So we have two.
Okay. We can stay with one.
Before everybody comes in, I just, ask the quick questions. That I want to make sure that my understanding is correct or not. Your global teacher, your global education means that you want to apply your Finland education style into the third country like Qatar, and if it works or not, right?
Yes. I'll go a little backwards. The interest towards Finnish education did not create because of the Finnish efforts. So we did not start developing our education system to become popular and famous globally. But we started to develop our education system because we realized that it is a highly important success factor in our national future.
Yes.
And because of the ranking high in some national examinations, some global examinations, people from all over the world started coming to Finland and asking what they could learn from us.
Yes.
And that's why we've started utilizing the Finnish expertise in education to develop educational systems as elsewhere as well. So if this was your question, the answer is yes.
Yes. So in that context, I would like to ask you a question. What does international mean to you? Global is this, you do the same thing no matter what context it is. Just Microsoft company, they sell the same product in whatever the market is. So I think what you are doing in global, education is just like what Microsoft is doing. And my question is, why should it be international? International is different from globalization. International is just as you said, that two different things meet face to face, and we have the new culture that is internationalization that my understanding. So I'm very interested, how does it connect your global education and internationalization? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. It's one of the very, I would say, foundational ones. And it's a very simple answer from our perspective. For us, international means fusion. It's fusion. As mentioned earlier, there is no such concept in education which is called copy-pasting. And from my point of view, education is not a product that you can export or import. Systems can learn from each other through a fusion process. So in educational context, international is fusion.
Okay, so do you think that you are doing implementation in Qatar, right? Is it correct that you are do this implementation in Qatar? Can you provide us some other cases in other nation, like maybe Japan or Asia or?
Also, this is a bit semantic question and goes to the wording. I would still say that we are not implementing, we are more or less building Qatari application of Finnish education.
So you are creating the new style in the context of the Qatar.
Exactly.
So,
and that model cannot be brought here, or it cannot brought back to Finland.
Yes, so it is a different.
So it's different. It's new. It's
in that
unique.
sense, it is international because the new culture met and then you create.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you very much. I understand very clearly.
And we believe that, yes, we do have the best educational system in Finland. but we don't believe in our educational system succeeding as it is anywhere else than in Finland. So yes, you're totally right that we need to take the local context always into account. And that's why wherever we go, we want to sit down with the local experts to utilize their local expertise in order to create something unique and new where our expertise might be utilized as an added value. Any more questions?
Or comments, or you can even question us, challenge us, as Tiina called earlier.
Okay, test. All right. My name is Greng Rai. I'm from the Language Institute of Thammasat University, and my background is at the teaching in high school level before. I've been teaching in high school for five years, and then I moved to the higher education level. And it's your talk is very interesting in how you train the teachers, and also I can see a lot of potential that Thai teachers and Thai education system can be improved. But the thing is, I would like to talk about our very controversial issue now about the new teacher recruitment, and the new policies about this is that the government or the teacher council will allow the teachers that not the teacher that like the teacher to be in the future, that those who only receive the degree for general education, like not specifically learning about being teacher. So just to give you a little bit background, to be a teacher here, basically you need to pass. Not to pass the exam. I mean, they have to study for 4 years of general education, and also the psychologies and pedagogy, right? And also 1 whole year in practicing in the school. But the thing is, nowadays the policymaker will change, since he claimed that our country has been suffers from lack of teacher, from the shortage of having a teachers, and also the teacher that can teach a specific subject. So they changed the policy from receiving all those students who study in faculty of education to all open to all the faculty. Okay, so the problem is that we have confronted a lot of problem after receiving those teachers that passed the exam from the past a couple years ago, but now they changed the policy to receive those back again, and then they will provide promise that they will provide a training session for those the test taker that pass and become the teachers in the school. Well, my question is that have Finland had any problems or encountered that kind of particular problems? So I don't know, because for me, as my own experiences, and I see a lot of teachers that didn't study in the education background, that they suffered a lot in the school, in teaching, especially in teaching. And a lot of them, I mean, maybe most of them, resigns after they have been assigned for many hours of teaching in the school, and then it's create a lot of, problem after that. So I don't know if Finland has encountered these kind of problems, and also do you provide training program for the teachers that pass the exam to become a teacher in the school? Thank you.
Okay. We were just discussing that which of one will start. The question was extremely important, and it would not be fair to say that no, Finland has ever faced these problems. Of course we have. We have a long history in developing education. As Tiina mentioned, the Finnish teacher education has been in place 150 years. And there have been different stages and also major reforms. Government has changed the standards, and these transition phases have been really challenging, and the key success factor through them has been of what kind of transition phase support is provided and organized and how it is funded. And it's for sure that for these kind of transitions you need upskilling program or some advanced level studies, or however you would like to call them, and they need to meet exactly the gap. They are bridging studies from the old to the new requirements. They need to be carefully planned, and again, the curriculum standards as a guiding key principles, and they are national. They are not, again, something that you can just purchase with money from somewhere, because you want these new skill sets to really meet the new requirements and the local settings and the standards. They need to include professional development projects in their existing schools and so on. How we have tackled that in Finland is that we have a separate 60 European credit long, which is equivalent to 1,500 hours, pedagogical studies available for each level of education, and specifically for those who have substance studies but not necessarily the deep understanding of pedagogies. Throughout their career they can take these additional studies as a separate course. They are university level studies, and then they include and are based on personal development plan. So they are individual plans that recognize the strengths but also the gaps, and then it defines the bridges, which are the solutions, and also the professional development projects that our school community are engaged. So this is our Finnish solution, and maybe there are some ideas that could be considered, but I would highly recommend that you start building your own bridge. But if there are some building blocks that we can offer, we would be happy to.
And if I got it right, you also referred to the parallel teacher qualifications and how teachers from different backgrounds can work together. And I think that is also a salary challenge in a way, that if you're qualified this way or this way, what will happen with your salary? In Finland, we have solved it so that we have national salary scales for teachers. So no matter in which primary school, for example, in Finland you teach, if you have 15 years of experience and you are qualified as the national regulations tell, you get the very same salary. So the salary is only dependent on the years of experience, and a slight portion of the salary might become because of the demanding nature of your work. But it is a very, very small portion. If you are not qualified according to the national standards, if you have not got the Masters of Education or Masters or whatever qualification, you can work as a teacher if the principal so thinks, but you cannot get a permanent position. And if you don't have the national requirement qualification, your salary will be lower. And that actually, the fact that you can't get a permanent position and you can't get the full salary, that quite often means that if you want to work as a teacher, you want to go for the pedagogical studies in order to get a permanent position and in order to get the full salary. I don't know if this gives you the answer on how we have solved this challenge.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's a good idea to set up that kind of standard, but the problem is they will have, they will get the same salary amount. With the many hours of teachings and also other administrative work, So when those who hasn't have any experiences in teaching and also training before, so they will encounter a lot of the problems, and then after that they resigned, and again creating more problems to the government in order to recruit new teachers to the school.
Definitely. But I think it's totally understandable in a situation that you described, that there is an evident lack of teaching staff. I totally understand that the government tries to solve it in a way or another, but the kind of system-wise decision then causes practical level, operational level challenges, and quite often the two different level of approach, they are very difficult to solve.
Yeah.
And referring to the earlier discussions we had today, that Thailand is a country with quite a population compared to Finland. Still, even we are small in Finland, when we have been seeking for the solutions, we have set up pilot projects. We didn't go at once to do the major reform or just to decide or plan this on the desk. We made some trial periods. We took a pilot group. We again collected evidence, made research on it, on what are the implications and challenges and winnings and so on. So piloting something somewhere could also be a good way to start.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Come.
Thank you, Miss Elise and Miss Tiina, for coming to Thailand. I work part-time at Ramatipati Hospital. I'm a pediatrician. I'm just wondering, what is medical education in Finland? Are you, based on your success in your basic education, has that been incorporated into the medical education?
Thank you. It's a good question. I was smiling and definitely wanted to give you this answer because my son is a fifth-year student in a medical college to become a medical doctor and also doing his PhD at the moment. So I have been following very closely at home this story of how our education is preparing and connected to medical education. And something to say for that is that then to emphasize that Finnish education is general education. It prepares to any careers, and vocational career in Finland is as respected as the academic career. And you won't make the choices forever because our system has no dead end. So it means that later on during your career, you have your chance to make the second or third choice. But my son, actually, at the age of 16, he made a choice to become a medical doctor. So he chose the general upper secondary. And out of the 16 subjects that our general upper secondary education provides, he took science, chemistry, physics, mathematics, all the courses provided in these subjects. So our general upper secondary actually enables any student already to start thinking the direction. While my daughter took psychology and ethics and religion and whatever, something else but natural sciences, and it enables both careers, and then later on our universities they base their enrollment on the contents provided in general upper secondary education. So no preparation years are needed, but the selection process is defined to be such that it considers both the academic performance but also your, can I say, suitability for the career and profession. As we were hearing from Dr. Pasi about the teacher profession, so we don't take the students in as per the grades, but also the other assets are considered. And so it's in medical school as well. And there is this kind of a clear line, but also the medical school in Finland, it can utilize the studies from chemistry, physics, biochemistry. So if you don't get enrolled during your first year, you can take some study courses with other major, and then they will be recognized as part of your studies. But medical school in Finland, as many other university courses as well, they are research oriented as well. So they will come practicing doctors, but at the same time they have the methodological know-how on research. I don't know if this is the answer. I'm not a specialist of the field, but I trust my son will be.
Actually, the very same goes for, I would say, most of the scientific or academic areas at the universities. So that if you did not take certain courses or certain subjects during your upper secondary years, and you, after a couple of years of considering, you still want to go for that kind of a career, it doesn't matter. You can study those subjects later and still you can be accepted. And most of the university programs, they don't only consider the marks, the final marks on the general upper secondary, but there is an entrance test, so that if you did not work hard enough during your upper secondary years, it doesn't matter. You can work harder. After that, you can prepare and you can still get accepted to the university program through the entrance test.
Hi, I'm Rina from Akson Global Publishing. I have heard about phenomenon teaching in Finland, right?
Yeah, right.
Could you please give me about a short idea for this approach? Thank you.
Good idea. Olisiko meillä mitään trikkiä, mitä voitaisiin tehdä käytännössä?
Phenomenon-based teaching and learning.
No,
phenomenon-based teaching and learning, it has been in Finland for a long time. Because already when we studied to be primary teachers, more than 20 years ago, almost 30 years ago, they already talked about integrating subjects.
Right.
And specifically during the first years of education, the first and second year of primary education, integrating subjects, learning under themes has been very popular for a long time already. For example, one topic that the first graders might have started with was family, my family. And then they studied mathematics under the topic of my family, arts, PE, music, science, under the topic, not nominating that now we are studying mathematics, now we are studying arts, but combining the teaching and learning under the theme. More advanced nowadays, we talk about phenomenon-based teaching and learning, and a phenomenon can, for example, be sustainable future for a secondary level student, for example. So they can be quite heavy stuff phenomena. And nowadays it means, according to our curricula, that the teachers need to work together. So for example, the mathematics teacher, the English teacher, and the history teacher, they can decide together that let's put up a phenomenon-based teaching project. And then they look at a theme, phenomenon, through the glasses of each of the subjects. And usually it requires teacher collaboration, and actually in our new curriculum it requires the teachers to involve students in the planning phase already. So the minimum requirement for phenomenon-based teaching and learning is once a year, at least a 2-week project where the students need to be involved in the planning phase, and there needs to be more than one teacher involved.
And to add something, that where the phenomena come from, how we determine the phenomena, who selects them. There is one requirement, that they need to be derived from the students' daily life, so that there is this real life connection, so that it's not a theoretical theme that the teachers take from somewhere, but it's something that the children already have experiences from, and they have the anchors inside them to start constructing new knowledge on they already what they already have experienced from the theme.
And still, sometimes it's hard to get from our theoretical talk. I still try to put it a little more into the practice. For example, the easy way to start phenomena-based teaching and learning would be for the teachers to decide that let's utilize the same theme during our subject lessons. And if they choose, for example, the nature around us, how to maintain the good nature around us. During the mathematics lessons, they could count the amount of pollution, or they could count the amount of traffic wherever, depending on the level of students. So they would take something in mathematics that goes under the topic of nature around us. In the arts lesson, they would pick a topic and a method that has to do with the nature around us. The same they would do during the writing lesson. Let's write about how to maintain the nature around us, and so on. That is the easiest way to start utilizing phenomenon-based teaching and learning.
Thank you very much.
That's a topic for another seminar, I would say.
Yes, we could organize a 2-week training course on phenomenon-based teaching and learning.
Okay, my name is Veerapan Janhom from Faculty of Fine Art, Chiang Mai University. I want to know about the university situation for lecturer to teach the student in the bachelor degree, because you are sure about the study and for the student in the primary school is very work in Finland. Okay, I want to know in the university situation how to teach them and how to progress teach and learn in the university level.
So teacher education programs.
In teacher education programs or generally?
Generally. Okay.
In any of the programs?
Well, it of course depends on the domain, because there are domain-specific ways of implement the programs. But what is specific in Finland? Well, it's not specific in Finland, but it's characteristic in Finland as well that we emphasize research. And whatever is your major, research is the main element, key component of it at the end. And each of the students, after the methodological studies, they make their thesis. Which is quite scientific, and the requirements, the standards in Finland for the thesis are quite strict compared to many other countries, to say. And before that, there are kind of 3-level studies preparing you to go for the thesis. There are the basic studies in your major, then there are the advanced studies for your major, methodological studies, which then takes you to prepare your thesis. And what is then the structure within separate programs? It varies, but the basic structuring is the same. The amount of European credits is the same for bachelor and masters. And nowadays you can take your bachelor out, and then later on continue your master's, or you can apply for another master degree program. Like my daughter, who has a major in ethnology and anthropology. She just graduated with her bachelor, but now she is applying for a master degree program for visual anthropology to Denmark, because that program is not provided in Finland. So basically it also gives you the ability to apply for other master degree programs anywhere around. So it's very equivalent to the European program structures, and it equals to basically any international program structures with some Finnish specifications.
I will show you a video to answer your question. This is a time-lapse video and shows you in practice what they are nowadays doing at universities in Finland, what kind of methodologies they would use. This is videoed during 6 months, and they filmed one learning space like this at the University of Helsinki for 6 months. And then they squeezed the 6 months to 2 minutes time lapse. And you are going to see the learning environment, but watching the learning environment change gives you an understanding of what kind of methodologies they utilize at the University of Helsinki. So maybe that expanded the answer. This is what they are doing in Finnish universities these days. You could do it here as well. You've got the very same facility. Big room, big space, chairs and desks. That's all you need. And as you saw, there was lecturing as well. Yes, it is still needed, but necessarily not full-time, and definitely not full-time in the Finnish universities. So the student-centered teaching and learning, what we've been talking about, they are really heavily trying to implement it in universities as well.
Yes, my name is Sumitra. I come from a school, a convent school. Can I bring you down to the early years and talk about technology, the use of smartphone, and in learning as well as in the recreation or whatever? Is there a policy, a guideline for families and for schools in the use of IT for young students? Thank you.
Thank you. Again, this would be a topic for a 5-day seminar. And we try to open it a bit. And in Finland, we got the new curriculum framework 2014, and the implementation started this academic year. So the schools had 2 years' time to prepare and make planning accordingly. And the new curriculum framework emphasizes the need of the school to utilize technologies in education in an integrated way, which means that we don't teach technology or ICT as subjects, but they are embedded to any subject in all levels of education, and the teachers need to be technology literate to be able to integrate the technologies, not the existing ones, but also the coming ones. And that's a huge challenge for our teacher education and also in-service training that is facing us now. So we don't have the very clear solutions, but we have national guidelines, we have the desire, and we have the principles of how we should consider technologies as a tool and mean for learning, not as an independent subject or topic, or we don't utilize them because of technologies, but because of they are enhancing learning. And this is the mindset that we need to learn. That it's not technologies because of technologies, but because of learning and how to use them in a purposeful way. And related to that, there is also a new topic brought to Finnish education now, which is coding. We need to start coding, teaching coding for our students from grade 1. So that's also quite challenging, but this is one answer in our society of how we want to tackle the future labor market needs. We have quite a heavy national forecasting process of what the future labor market is, what our companies and employers need after 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, because we need to start the preparation now to have the competent and skilled workforce later on. And for example, this coding was brought because of these reasons, but as you can imagine, it is challenging existing teachers.
One of the guidelines that rules all of our comprehensive education, meaning years from 1 to 9, is that it needs to be completely 100% free of charge for the families, which means that the school needs to provide the technology that the students utilize at school. The school cannot expect the students to bring their devices to the school, but since most of the Finnish students from early years on, they have got their own mobile devices. Most of the teachers, most of the schools are utilizing, of course, with the parents' permission, the students' mobile devices for learning purposes. So if there are own devices, they can be utilized, but if the teacher requires all the students to have a mobile device, the school needs to provide the devices. And the mobile devices, meaning tablets and tablets mostly, they are becoming more and more regular in all of the Finnish schools. But the ratio yet is not 1-to-1. I mean, not as many devices as there are students. But it's usually a set of mobile devices, a set of tablets that then the students, the classes, the teachers share. And it starts in the kindergarten already. So the 1 and 2 and 3 years old, they utilize the tablets at the kindergarten already.
But then, besides learning, children can get addicted to the use of that. Is there a help for families or guideline for schools? Research-backed.
Did I lose? No. That's a good question, and actually we forgot to mention something that is again quite specific in Finland, because we think when we talk about technology and education that it's not me and my device, it's we and our devices. And we don't want our children just to focus on the device and what's in it and what's happening inside one's head, but we want devices to connect the student into the learning environment and with the co-learners, and specifically how teachers use the devices. This is the way to do it. So it's to socialize through devices, and that's something that we are on the way. We are not ready yet, so that I cannot write a book of it yet. But maybe later on we can make the guidelines or kind of a handbook of how to do it and what are the best practices. But the mindset is there that it's again following the conception of learning in Finland, which is learning with each other and from each other, rather than just me building and constructing my knowledge.
And quite many times the students are more advanced in their technological knowledge than teachers. And as a teacher that wants to utilize technology in the classroom, I have to accept the fact that I quite often need to go to the student to ask, please, could you help me with it? And the students are very eager to help and even teach the items to the rest of the class. The younger generation, quite often they are ahead of teachers.
Right. May I also ask a question? Well, I am a full-time lecturer and a part-time IT geek. So I teach interpreting, and I've been utilizing VR goggles, so virtual reality, in my classes. And so basically I try to shoot video in 360, and I try to recreate or simulate the experience the intense experience that interpreters often have to encounter. So I wonder if Finland has utilized such technology yet. I'm quite lost a little bit because it's very new, especially in Thailand. So that is my question. Thank you.
It's a very specific question, and definitely this is the area that I don't know that much at all. I'm not sure about you.
I'm just hoping that my colleague Pasi would be here, not the Pasi that we met, but the Pasi that this guy's a technology educator.
But we can try to seek the answers and connect you with someone if there is anything going on. I have the pre-assumption that in Aalto-yliopisto, which is the Aalto University in Finland, which is very advanced in this kind of technology integrations and the technical universities, they probably have something like this and going on. But if there is anyhow we can help you to connect, we will.
Thank you. Any other burning questions?
Thank you for the wonderful talk. I'm a doctoral student in language and communication at NIDA. And this question might be a little bit off topic, but tutoring services have been a big issue in Thailand. And so I was wondering if Finland has the same problem, because students here in Thailand, high school students, they have to go to tutoring school after regular school time in order to get to a good university.
That is something that does not exist in our country. Well, it does. After the upper secondary school, yes, there are some providers that provide preparation courses for universities, but it is a very minor issue, and before the end of upper secondary school, before the end of year 12, nobody does home tutoring. Nobody.
And also what we tell to our parents that it's enough that you support learning. We will take care of the teaching. You don't need extra teachers. Just support the learning at home and the learning assignments, and follow that the student has enough food and sleep. We will take care of the rest.
So building trust is very important in
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Hello. Hi, my name is Ari from NIDA as well. I'm teaching over there. My question is, from my teaching experience, I find it very difficult to get faculty members to work together. So you were talking about collaboration. So I wonder, from your experience working with Thai teachers in Thailand, maybe you can recommend something. I find that because I'm not talking about getting faculty members into a formal meeting. I'm talking about working together with good spirits. If you can recommend ways to do that and how you can do that successfully in Finland, that would be great. Thanks.
First of all, collaboration needs to be voluntary. So you can't force collaboration. The management cannot decide that, yes, now we start collaboration and you two work together, you two work together, and you three work together. Do it. That would not work. The best way to start collaboration is to find somebody who is willing to collaborate with you and who you think it's quite easy to work with. So those are the best initiatives for collaboration. To search for somebody, start with a small project. Don't do it big. Start with a small project, find somebody who wants to collaborate with you, and of course search for the permission from the administrators if you think that you need the permission. And quite often when a small group, a pair, starts working together, it raises interest. The others get interested on what are you doing. Quite often it raises success. The students are usually very much motivated in teachers working together because usually it means different kind of teaching. And when somebody starts it with a small project, according to my experience, it starts spreading around. Your colleagues will start coming to you, hey, what are you doing? Tell me a little more about it. And then you need to be the forerunners in a way that you share the message around. So that is how I think the best collaborative projects have started, with initiative from the teachers, voluntarily with colleagues, and with the permission of the administrators. And I've seen many places where finally most of the teachers have been in a way or another collaborating with each other with time. Ei se Pasi tuu tänne.
My name is Alisara from Kasetsat University. I wonder if you emphasize testing and grading for the primary school students, because I've heard that there is no testing for kids in Finland, and I think that's wonderful. And the second question is, what do you expect from the primary school kids? I mean, not academically, what are the things that you expect them to be?
You are so right saying that we don't have any national testing, but we have a lot of tests for our primary students, even on daily basis. And that's the difference, because our teachers, they track students' performance really on daily and weekly basis through a school management system. They communicate to the parents even on daily basis of the performance. So there is a lot of testing, really, probably more tests than in any other schools in the world, but they are not national.
And in this sense, when Elise is talking about testing, it does not necessarily, and most of the times, it doesn't mean a written test with questions that the students are answering. So more than testing, we might talk about assessment. And the teacher, one more time, is in the core of designing how he or she wants to test the students.
Right, and all this assessment that Tiina nicely changed the concept from testing to assessment, we still need to add one more element, which is self-assessment and self-reflections. That's integral part of our testing, so-called. And all this assessment is made against the national standards. So we don't have standardized tests, but our teachers, they know by heart that what they need to achieve as per terms. And when they plan the assessment for their group, it's designed against the national standards. So that's kind of a different and difficult mindset to think about it, but basically our students are continuously assessed against the national standards, though they are not tested through standardized national tests. It's a kind of a difficult concept to think about, but having been living it through as a student, as a mother, and as a teacher, I truly believe that it's quite an effective model.
And if as a teacher I can make sure that the student and the parents and me as a teacher, we can know enough of the student's performance without written tests, I don't need to carry out any written tests in my classroom. So the purpose of the assessment is that the student, number one, the parents and the teacher know what the student's progress is. And the teacher is to figure out how to find out about that and then how to communicate it to all the parties. It doesn't need to be a written test, and it doesn't need to be the same test for everybody. If there are 25 students, there can be 4, 5, 6 different ways to evaluate the student's progress.
And the main purpose for this is to guarantee that when the student graduates or ends the class, the standards are met. And why teachers, they need this continuous assessment from week 1 is that they need to be able to do early interventions. If they see that one of the children is about to drop from the group, there needs to be additional support. And so the teacher cannot wait till the exam weeks to see what is the level of the child. So that's why this kind of a proactive assessment and evaluation is encouraged, so that this is how we can then put the supporting mechanism in place.
Then
welcome, Doctor.
There's one more question that she asked. We need to answer her second question about the primary students and what they need to master during their primary years, not talking about the academics. These are not in an order now. I'm just saying some things, and Elisa, you can add up to this. First of all, they need to be responsible of their own behavior. They need to be responsible of their own studies, and they are at all times learning to be the owners of their own learning process. They need to take care of their homework, preferably individually, or if it's a group task, then with the peers, but it's not the parents' task to take care of the students' homework, it's the students' task. Socially, they need to be able to work with anybody, in pairs, in groups. They need to, I'm thinking of the kind of cognitive skills, but it goes to more academics then. Elisa, what do you want to add?
Nothing at this point.
Yeah, those are the most important skills for a primary student to achieve. Any questions to Dr. Pasi?
It's your turn.
I'm still alive. Highly recommend. Well, everybody knows that Finnish education is based on the concept of equality. My mic is not working, but I think I'm loud enough. Finnish education is based on equality and quality of education.
Education. So, and I've heard that you don't have national standardized tests at the secondary level, yeah. And if you do, it's meant to make sure that most students stick around the same area, that you have kind of the same quality to all. Yeah, so you don't want to leave children behind, any children behind. So you try to eliminate the gap between the highest, the best performing students and the poorest one, as you don't want to call them. So what about at the university level? Does that kind of mentality apply at the university level? And what about research excellence? If you say that at a university level you aim for research.
Dr. Pasi is to answer this, but one thing that I want to correct, we are not trying to eliminate the gap between the lowest and the highest performers. If the lowest performers are here, yes, we want to raise their standard as close as they can up to the, well, as high as their best performance is. But the high performers, they can go as high as they can. So the sky's the limit or whatever with the high performers. But the low performers, yes, we are trying to keep everybody with. No child is left behind. And then the university level I give here.
Okay, thank you. There was quite a bit of traffic, I can tell you, but good otherwise. Just one comment to this excellent question about closing the gap in Finland. I think one distinction that I see, if you compare, for example, Finland, how we see the students' performance or learning, and those interpretations in the United States or England, for example. America is very much obsessed with a kind of a two-dimensional way of ranking students. You are either poor or you're excellent or you're somewhere there in the middle. And that's where all this language comes from, that we are trying to close the gap or narrow the gap or something like this. But I think in Finland we have the whole idea of achievement is a three-dimensional or multi-dimensional, so that it's very difficult to say, for example, what makes a good student or poor student, because they can be good in their own different ways. And that's exactly the reason why we try to avoid a kind of a standardized assessments that by nature of standardization assessment or evaluation will put students in one and the same line. So that's why I think it's what I'm trying to say is that when we are looking at the students' performance, we try to broaden the scope of looking at what the students can do and try to find the areas where they are good at. I don't know if this makes any sense. But your question about research, the Finnish higher education policy is again very different than it is in many other countries. That we don't consider higher education anything elitist as it is in many other countries, and we don't have those top universities at all. The University of Jyväskylä, you're both from there, right? Where they come from, and the University of Oulu, where I serve as the board of directors, or Helsinki, where I teach every now and then. They're all equal universities, and they all have their strengths in some areas. But we try to kind of avoid something like we say that the one university would be better than the others. Of course, they compete a little bit against one another, but from the student's point of view, if you're a student in Finland, you're interested in research, you can go to any of those research universities and you will get good education, opportunities to do research, and you can go as far as you want to go. But this of course leads to the situation that Finland cannot compete with countries like United States or England or Australia, where the higher education system and research system is very different. So we see higher education often as a kind of an extension to basic education, so that everybody can study as long as they can. So it's a different kind of a perspective to education. Was this the right answer, Tiina?
Definitely.
Okay. You look tired, guys. I hope that you were not waiting for me here, because otherwise I feel bad. But
So we might be able to take 2 more questions. Doctor?
I'm sorry again to be asking another question. This is a question I've asked Kun Suzanne when I met her in the embassy, and if I can put this question to the 3 of you: if you had to send your children to another country and not Finland, which country would that be?
Sweden.
That's a good question, and basically I have nothing to say to that because of our students. They are so independent that they make their choices without parents. And this is probably what we have been heading to. And as far as the student, they make their conscious decisions, I'm happy as a mother. And my daughter, she chose Denmark instead of Australia or UK because of a certain program-specific reasons. She was inspecting really the program structure and all the contents and implementation models. And if the decisions are made on these considerations, I cannot say anything more, but just go.
I would definitely, I have 2 little boys at home, I would definitely like to put them to the Finnish school in Pattaya in Thailand. So I could get a good school and a wonderful country and climate at the same time. But I want to return, after you have answered, I want to return this last question to you and just ask you, what do you think you should do? What do you think is the most important thing in Thailand, in your own country, to do like one thing? I would really love to hear that from you before, or some of you before you go home. But where would you want to put your children?
Well, I have a practical answer from the history, something that has really happened to this question. We were living in the United Arab Emirates in Abu Dhabi when my son was 16 years of age, and he finished his IGCSE there. And we were about to stay. I was working there. And then he would have continued to the 6th form, according to the British system. And he was the one that told that, "Mum, I'm never going to do that. I want to go to high school to Finland." So we moved back to Finland for his request. And he's now a university student in Finland. So going back to what Elisa said, that our young generation, they're usually brought up to be so independent that they don't ask their parents. Sometimes the parents need to do what the young generation prefers.
But I think it's time to go home, I assume, very quickly. But is anybody in the room who would like to share a little bit? What do you think would be the next big thing here in your country to do? Where to start? Yes.
I'm Surin from Valilak University, and I think one of the major things that as educationists in Thailand is also worried about is, or trying to do their best in promoting, is English language learning. And you guys speak English so well, and pardon me for my ignorance about Finland, but Finnish is your national language. How do you incorporate English into your curricula?
Thank you. Anybody else who would like to say something? What to do?
Hello, thank you. I think the major issues about Thailand right now is that we have tried to tie up the education system with the change of the political too much. And I think what we need to change is that we should stick with the policies, and we have to focus more on development of the learners and also the professional development of the teachers. not trying to change. Once that they change the minister, and then the polity change, and then that will be something that Thai education will not be any further. Will not be any improve if we keep changing. I think that is the one thing that we need to focus on.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Any last words? If there's not anybody who wants to speak, can I ask you to do a final little Finnish exercise? This is what we always do, Finnish teachers do. I don't know how much you have been doing these things, but we always, before we leave the class or finish the course, end of the day, we ask our students to think about a little bit, what did they learn? What is the kind of a most important thing that you take with you home with you? Remember what my colleagues were saying about the responsibility of learning is with children, students. So this is what we always do. We ask them to think about, what did you learn today? What is the most important thing? So this is our question to you right now, is that what did you learn? What is the first thing that you will tell to your husband or wife or your children or your friend when you go home from this wonderful seminar and say, listen, I learned this very interesting thing today. What is it? You don't need to tell us if you don't want to, but you need to tell that to somebody who is near you. Just turn to find somebody close to you and say that, listen, I found this very interesting today. What did you learn? Okay? Just 1 minute and then we stop. Okay? 1 minute. Finnish way. Finnish method.
Yeah, and the team will give the final. Okay. Yep. May I ask Associate Professor Dr. Damrong, the Dean of Faculty of Liberal Arts, to deliver the closing speech and also tokens of appreciation to our speakers, please.
First of all, I like to answer your questions that what I'm thinking about that we need to do. The talk today really addressed a lot of problems that happen in our country, but one of the major concerns is about teachers. That's really hit my heart. I think if we need to change the educational system in our country, that needs to start from teacher. In the past many years, our country accept anyone who would like to be a teacher. They can come to the system and to be a teacher. But I think the best way is we need to screen qualified teachers to be the teacher. Not just anyone can be a teacher. As you mentioned, that teacher is profession. Thank you very much, Dr. Pasi Sahlberg, Tiina, Essie. Thank you for your inspiration and challenges. Speaking to inspiration, you address many things that happen in our country, and we could learn a lot from your lesson. One thing that I need to mention about is learning needs creator of opportunity. Learning needs facilitator. That is teacher. Second, about challenges. The challenge that you leave us with today is what we need to learn from lessons that you leave with us from Finland. How are we going to apply the lesson from Finland to make our country have successful education system? Second, I would like to thank the Knowledge Network Institute of Thailand and Gxor Education Public Company Limited for being co-host of this event today and make this seminar is very successful. And my thanks would go to the organizing committee who make this seminar very successful. And last, my thanks would go to all participants today. I know that you have plenty of work to do. You have a lot of tiring work from your office, from your school. But this is the job of teacher who would like to seek for further training, as you mentioned today. I hope that everyone who leave this seminar room today, you will keep something in mind that your heart and soul is teaching. Thank you.
Miss Elise Travane. And Miss Tiina Malste. Thank you everyone for coming. คน participant ด้วยเหรอครับมันไม่ได้อ๋อผู้ใหญ่ได้ครับการสมองใช่ไหม